All right, so let's talk about the Acolyte episode 6. I know at this point I'm a little bit behind because episode 8 is out at the time of recording, but I'm just late. I don't know what else to say. Anyways, for starters, I suppose it fundamentally wasn't bad, but that's also not to say it was good. I mean, bad is episode 3. Episode 3 was absolute trash. I mean, first off, it came out of left field out of nowhere. We had episode 1 and 2, which made sense. They flowed together, and all of a sudden you get this curveball, and it's like, what? What are you throwing at us right now? What does this have to do with anything? I know it's supposed to be a backstory, but wow, this is extreme. It was so bad that it made Last Jedi seem good, and we all know Last Jedi sucked. I mean, we were all, for me personally, I had high expectations for that movie. You know, we're supposed to have Grandmaster Yoda, you know, at that point, I mean, Grandmaster Luke, which we all know from Legends and stuff that he's like super OP and all this, best Jedi. And it was like, oh man, we're going to get some sick stuff. Like, I thought basically what would happen is him and Rey and all of them would kind of tag team up and go up against like Kylo, and it would be some awesome epic showdown. Maybe even up against Snoke, not Kylo. Kylo's kind of like Rey's level, but go up against Snoke or something, and it would be sick. I thought maybe even they would be fighting, and then, you know, he'd be going. Luke would be going up against Snoke, and Snoke would be winning or something, and then Kylo, that's what would make him turn back to the light side to see his uncle getting destroyed, and then all of a sudden, now Kylo, you know, out of nowhere, like a cool transition, like all of a sudden you just see like his lightsaber just like flying into Snoke or something, and you're like, oh, and then he converts, and then maybe Snoke escapes or whatever, and now Kylo is on the Resistance team, and it just would have been awesome. And instead we got some idiot who likes to drink blue milk from a creature fresh out of the source, not cooled, pasteurized, or anything, who hates Jedi and think that Jedi should die, and I don't know, basically a fake team up with Rey and Kylo that you think is gonna do something. One of them's gonna switch, but both of them don't switch, and just a terrible one. And then you have that whole planet that Rose brings Finn to, and oh, they gamble and blah blah blah. Oh, this is actually a terrible place, and such a terrible movie. But in comparison to episode 3, that's great. At least nothing really comes out of left field. Yeah, I guess you could say that planet comes out of left field, but it makes sense. They make it work. It's not just so super random like episode 3 of Acolyte was. So anyways, massive tangent out of the way. This episode wasn't terrible like that, but it wasn't good either. It's when I gauge something on being good, especially with Star Wars, I base it on how does it make me feel. Do I go into it and I'm like, oh, that was awesome, oh, that was sick too, or you know, you're just kind of neutral. Like, I was a big Star Wars fan up until episode 3. That's when I was a kid. I was in high school, middle school, and all that when those movies came out. And then, like, I graduated high school, and I started college, and then I went back to college, you know, got my second degree. Then I had my daughter. Like, real life was happening to me. And granted, there was Star Wars projects out there. We had Clone Wars and all that. Well, I guess that's about it, actually, during those days. It was just Clone Wars. But still, there was Star Wars content being created. But I didn't have time for that. I wasn't watching Disney Plus. All I was into was the movies. Well, it was 10 years between episode 3 and episode 9. I mean, 7. Force Awakens. And when that movie came out, I was like, I don't care about Star Wars anymore. And we went anyways. It was kind of my mom's idea just because she wanted to. It was Christmas Day, and she wanted to go to the movies, and that was like the best option. So we went to it, and that movie was awesome, though. I liked Kylo's force powers. I liked how, you know, he could freeze the blaster beam in the middle of the air, and he could freeze his enemies and stuff, or whatever he was doing to them, making them stuck. And I thought his look was cool. His lightsaber was cool. I mean, he took the helmet off, and it was like, whoa, what the heck? That's Kylo? Some weird emo guy with big fluffy hair? But until he took his mask off, he was pretty cool. And, you know, there was the whole mystery about Finn. Ooh, a defected stormtrooper. Ooh, he might have force sensitivity. Ooh. They even tried to throw a little nostalgia in with the Millennium Falcon. And I know that's kind of stupid. It's like a cheap way to make people like your product. But still, you know, Han and Chewie are there, Millennium Falcon. So it's like things you know, helping you transition into this new wave of movies. And it was a cool movie. I liked it. I became a big fan right away, right after watching that. Went home, and that same night I downloaded Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the mobile game, and I've been playing it ever since. I even have a whole YouTube channel based on that game. Yeah, based on that game. And yeah. So like that was a good movie to me. So anyways, episode 6 of Acolyte had none of that in there. There was nothing that was like, "Oh, that's cool at least." Nothing. It was kind of dumb the whole time. I remember watching it and I was eating dinner and I was with somebody and like just nothing really exciting happened. There was even one point when I got up and went out in the kitchen to put my plate in the sink, and I didn't pause it, I didn't care, and I missed nothing. Like that's how boring it was. But yeah, so since there's really nothing good to talk about, let's just talk about the episode in general and just talk about like the dumb things that happened. So to start, let's talk about Master Saul and Osha, who was actually May, pretending to be Osha. So, for one, it basically took him the entire episode to realize that Osha was May. Either he knew right away and just wasn't acting on it, he wanted to see what was going to happen, or it took him the whole episode to find out. But we don't know that he realized until almost the very end of the episode when he finally realizes. Which makes no sense. He's supposed to be a Jedi Master, right? So he should be able to have some kind of connection to the Force for him to be able to pick up that, hey, something's weird. This ain't Osha. Like, Yoda was able to be on Kashyyyk and sense that Order 66 happened. He could feel the Jedi being killed and all that. And he's nowhere near where this is happening. May is standing right in front of him. He couldn't feel that something was off? This makes no sense. I mean, geez, even the creature thing, the tracker, whatever he is, the wannabe Queel, even that thing knew that Osha wasn't Osha. And this brings me into number 2 that was kind of dumb. There's a little scene where she's in some kind of back room on the ship or something, and she's trying to infiltrate something, and then this little creature thing comes up and, like, tries to fight her, I guess. Like, he's trying to be tough. And for one, he basically wins the fight. Now, it's not like he laid her out or anything, like really whooped her, and it's like, whoa, what did he do there? It's not a win like that, but it's a win like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he does like a little dumb kick, and she's kind of just like, ow, and then he runs away. So in a sense, he won, you know what I mean? She didn't do anything to him, but he was able to inflict something on her. But it's like, for starters, like, we know that May and Osha have Force sensitivity. We saw it in episode 3, where they're kids, and she's, you know, playing with the creatures with the Force and everything. She has Force sensitivity. She knows how to use the Force. Or the thread. Whatever her connection is. I guess it's not to the Force, it's to the thread. Regardless, she knows how to use it. Fighting that creature thing should have been simple. A little Force push, boom, you're done. Like, how was it able to sneak up? Well, not sneak up, he was right in front of her. But, you know, come up and kick her and like, win the fight. Makes no sense. The other thing that don't make sense about that either is this is Disney we're talking about, and you know everything's all about DEI and feminism and blah blah blah, and you'd think that May for sure would have won because that creature thing I feel like is supposed to be male. I know it's just a creature thing, and they in episode 5 supposed to give it they pronouns, but pretty sure it's supposed to be male. So you'd think that May would definitely beat the thing because we can't have a male beat a female. So that makes it double weird that May lost to that thing. Second thing is, I don't fully remember now because obviously I saw the episode 2 weeks ago and I'm just really delayed on making this video. But I think she's got a little robot. I don't know if it's the same robot that Osha carries around or if it's something else. I don't remember. But all I know is after the creature guy, the tracker creature guy attacks her, it goes and kind of like attacks her as well. But it does it in like a weird innuendo-y type way. Like, it shoots oil on her, but it's almost like a money shot, if you know what I mean. How it's done, sort of. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, it was kind of weird. And especially out of place in Star Wars. Like, it was maybe in like a parody Star Wars, sure. You know, that's something you'd see in the Family Guy ones. Like when R2's running around with his boner. And how am I supposed to run with this? But not in official Star Wars. Like, that's weird. Anyhow, I think that's roughly it for May. Now, as far as Osha goes, the Osha storyline was very weird. and really made no sense when you broke everything down. So first off, obviously the Sith guy, I know he's got a name, but I don't know his name, and I call him Sith Guy because apparently he's not supposed to be a Sith. Ki-Adi-Mundi tells us in episode 1 that the Sith haven't been around for a millennium, but all of a sudden Ki-Adi-Mundi's there with a fatter, shorter head, and this Sith guy exists, but he doesn't know. Okay, way to have a terrible connection to the Force, I guess. But yeah, I guess he's not supposed to be a Sith, even though he calls himself a Sith, so who the F knows what's going on? They clearly don't, and they leave us to fill in the gaps and make stuff up. So I'm just going to call him Sith Guy. But the Sith guy obviously has her, because May swapped her body with Osha and left Osha there. And the Sith guy came and thought it was May at first, and then realized it's not. Somehow he's able to detect that quickly, but Saul can't. I guess the Sith guy's got a way better connection to the Force. I don't know. But anyways, it starts out with him being very, almost seductive towards her. And I don't mean seductive like trying to seduce her to the dark side like Palpatine and Vader were doing to Luke. I mean sexually seductive. I mean, when she first sees him, he's naked outside, going skinny dipping, I guess. And then he even says something something about her joining him. If you're not going to join me, then blah, blah, blah. And it's so you want her to get naked as well and get in the water with you? Bro, calm down with your horniness. Yeah, there's sexuality in these shows. There always has been, the weird love triangle between Rose, Finn, and Rey. And obviously Han and Luke. Wow. That'll be the next Star Wars. Han and Leia. And then I said Luke because that's also a triangle until she realizes they're siblings, then it breaks off. But it's never been, weird like that where they're naked and stuff. Yeah, there's sexualization of Leia when she was Jabba's slave, but that was sexualization, image-wise. It wasn't really sexual, per se. Nothing was being done. It was just Jabba makes her dress like that for, I don't know, his satisfaction, which kind of makes no sense because he's a giant slug creature. What would he care about a human woman? Doesn't make any sense, but still, that's kind of what that is. It's not like this, a naked guy asking a girl to come in the water with him. Ooh, you gonna join me, baby? And then what's weirder is when he's done swimming or washing up or whatever the heck he's doing, because he's not in the water for very long, he comes out still naked and just fully exposes himself to her, and it's what is happening right now? Obviously, we don't see anything. We see, waist up the whole time, so you don't see butt or anything like that, but it's implied that he's naked, and he just walks out of the water no big deal. Hey, dick hanging out and all. Hey, Osha, you like what you see? You want some? What are you doing? This is weird. But anyways, yeah, trying to seduce her. It's just not Star Wars. It's really weird. But then the weirder part is, obviously she's kind of stuck with him. She's not really his prisoner per se, but at the same time, she doesn't really have a way to get out. So she's just kind of stuck there with him by default. And he talks to her a lot and she kind of listens and almost falls to his stories and, gets seduced by the dark side, if you will. And, that just makes absolutely no sense for Osha's character. First off, Osha has always been a good person. We know this even from that crappy episode 3 when her sister was torturing the butterflies or whatever, the little dragon things with the Force. Osha didn't like that. She didn't like May doing that. She would tell her to stop. When it came time to become an official witch and do that ceremony, May was all for it, but Osha didn't want to. She didn't want to be a witch. She didn't want to be in that weird life. And yeah, she's always just been good. She's got her little robot thing that she even says, I love you to. Geez, it's a machine. And she's getting feelings to it. It's like the movie Her, where Joaquin Phoenix's character is in love with his phone. She's always been good. And now all of a sudden she's hanging out with the Sith guy for a day and she's like, oh yeah, I should be a Sith. That's a good idea. Because that's fitting of me. I've been wholesome my whole life since I was, I don't know, how old are they in episode 3? Are they supposed to be 10 or something? Ever since I've been 10, probably before that as well, I've been wholesome, but now I want to be bad. Yeah, what are we all about? Let's do this, Sith guy. What? And then I think the way that the episode ended, was just extremely dumb. I don't even know if dumb's the word. It was I almost feel like it was supposed to be a, oh, what type moment, but instead it was just Okay. So basically what happens is the Sith guy, he's, I don't know, he's off somewhere, probably naked in the lake again, and Osha's by herself, and she sees his helmet, and she goes over and ends up putting it on. And then, like, she's looking around through it, he told her that it basically blocks out your senses, so you see only a little bit. You can only see a little bit out. There's just little slits that she can see, and then you just hear her breathing. Like, I don't know why she's panting. Oh, wow. I don't know why she's, like, panting, like she was just running or something. But, yeah, she's kind of out of breath. It's almost like they're trying to relate it to Vader or something. Like, oh, a helmet and limited vision and, oh, you can hear the breathing or something stupid. But, yeah, it was just so dumb. It was like, what are you doing now? What is this supposed to mean? Like, why would Osha, who's a good character, be putting on the helmet now of the Sith guy? Like, what is this supposed to mean something? Is she's like, yeah, okay, I'll convert and be your acolyte? Like, is that what this is saying? I don't know. If it is, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, basically, the way they ended it, I would say, is to be like a cliffhanger. Because other stuff was happening, and then that's how they cut to that after, and that's how they end it, with her putting the helmet on. It's like a 25-second sequence, and it's like, okay, cool. But, yeah, it just makes absolutely no sense. And like I said, it's like a cliffhanger almost, because then it just ends. But it's like, it's a cliffhanger that you don't care about. Usually cliffhangers you do care about. You're like, oh man, of course this is how they're going to end it. Now I got to wait till next week to see. This one you don't even care. It's just like, man, F you and your fake cliffhanger. I don't care about this crap. This is stupid. I don't care what happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's annoying. It's dumb. It makes no sense. And it's like, even if it was a cliffhanger, they do it in a terrible way too, because they make you wait 2 weeks, because episode 7's already out, and from what I understand, I haven't seen it yet, but it's basically episode 3, but from a different angle. Instead of being from the witch's angle, it's from the Jedi angle now. So now you have to wait until episode 8, which actually at the time of recording has already been out. I mean, it's Tuesday. They release on Tuesday, right? Yeah, they release on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So right now it's 11:40-ish p.m., so it's been out, that episode's out. So I guess you could finally see what your cliffhanger's all about, but like, you gotta wait 2 weeks for it? Like, what kind of dick move is that? I don't know. Overall, episode was wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. One thing I will say about it was normal length. Episode 4 and 5 were both like half an hour each. And what I said in those reviews is it felt like it was just almost filler. Like, both of these episodes feel like they're just, both of those, I don't know, it feels like this show was supposed to be like 4 episodes total, but maybe the Disney execs or someone was like, you should make it more, make it 8 episodes if you can. And so they just fill it up with a whole bunch of filler. Like, episode 3 feels like it's a filler. Like, they had nothing, and they're like, oh, I know, we could put an origin story of these twins. And then episode 7, that's a filler too. You copied episode 3 and just changed the perspective to the Jedi. So there's 2 episodes added. And then they split an episode by making episode 4 and 5, 4 and 5. You know what I mean? That probably was 1 episode, but they cut it in half. Boom, there you go. Got 2 episodes there. And, yeah. So, I don't know where the other episode is, but there it is. Okay, you wanted 8? We did it. We got a whole bunch of nonsense to make the 8. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe episode 8 is the other filler episode. This episode that just released today, when I see it, maybe it'll just be like, wow, that was dumb. Or maybe it's another one that's split in half. It probably could have went with episode 6, and been 1 episode, but instead they split it in half. There you go. We made 8 episodes. Is that good? I don't know. I guess that's all I got. So, yeah, episode 6, not great. Not good at all, I mean, but not terrible. It's just kind of there. I hear episode 7 is absolute nonsense, though. Even though I haven't seen the episode myself yet, I have watched a whole bunch of reviews. And I hear it's absolute nonsense. Like, just like on the same level of episode 3, which is ironic because 3 and 7 are mirrors of each other. But, yeah, so I guess I'll see that probably Saturday. And then I can make a video. And I'll also see episode 8. So far, I know nothing about that. But those videos will be out tomorrow, which I'll be listening to. So I'll know what that is all about as well. Anyways, thanks for checking this out. And until next time, I said see ya.